The early morning fog clung to the sprawling ranch like a soft gray blanket, draping over wooden fences and dew-laden fields. Leela tightened her worn gloves as she stepped out of the small rented cabin, the chilly wind biting through her thin sweater. She had taken this job out of necessity, milking cows, feeding calves, cleaning stalls, anything that would earn her a few coins to pay the rent and keep food on the table for her younger brother, who was too small to help and too sick to work. She had no idea that her quiet, reserved employer was more than he appeared. The rancher, Henry Dawson, kept to himself. He rarely spoke, his presence imposing yet subtle. His hands were strong, his movements precise, almost artistic as he inspected the fences, the livestock, and the equipment. The ranch ran like a well-oiled machine, yet he never boasted or demanded attention. On her first day, Leela arrived before dawn. The air smelled of hay and earth, of early morning dew and life itself. She found him leaning against the barn door, eyes closed, listening to the distant lowing of cows. She felt awkward, unsure how to greet him. "Morning," she said softly, her voice barely carrying over the breeze. He opened his eyes slowly, surveying her with a glance that made her feel seen, though not judged. "Morning. Grab a bucket. I'll show you the first cow." The work was hard. Leela's hands ached from holding the pail, guiding the cow, and making sure the milk didn't spill. Sweat mixed with the morning chill as she labored through the tasks. Henry watched silently, correcting her grip or posture without speaking more than a word or two. By the third day, Leela noticed subtle things, how he treated the animals with a tenderness that spoke of respect, how he moved through the fields as if every plant and creature mattered. Something in him was different, something she couldn't name. One evening, as she was cleaning the barn, she heard the distant sound of a vehicle approaching. It was rare for anyone to visit this isolated ranch. She peeked outside and saw a sleek black car pull up, too modern, too pristine for a ranch like this. A sharply dressed man stepped out and called for Henry. Leela's curiosity tugged at her, but she stayed hidden, quietly observing. The man handed Henry a leather briefcase, and the two spoke in hushed, urgent tones. From her vantage point, she caught snippets of words. Board meeting, company acquisition, $1 million deal. Her heart raced. This quiet, reserved man, the one who had barely said more than a few words to her, was a millionaire. A hidden one, living humbly on his own land, choosing solitude over grandeur. She returned to her chores the next day, mind racing with thoughts of him. How could someone so wealthy choose to live like this? Yet the more she thought about it, the more it made sense. The way he cared for the land, the animals, the way he treated everyone, not as workers, but as humans, it was worth more than all the wealth in the world. Weeks passed and a quiet bond formed. Henry began to trust her, allowing her to handle more of the work on her own. Sometimes he'd share small stories of his past, of hardships that taught him humility, of mistakes that reminded him of the value of kindness. Leela listened, absorbing every word. Then one afternoon, a storm rolled in, dark clouds swallowing the sky. The cows grew restless and Leela struggled to keep them calm. Rain poured, soaking her clothes. Henry appeared, unhurried but steady, his presence reassuring. Together they guided the animals to shelter, and for the first time Leela saw a different side of him, a man of strength and courage, capable of facing challenges head-on. Afterward, standing in the drenched barn, she looked at him. You didn't have to help me," she said, shivering. He simply shrugged, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "I didn't have to, but I chose to." In that moment, she understood something deeper. Wealth, power, titles, they were meaningless compared to integrity, compassion, and courage. And this man, quiet and unassuming, possessed all of that. Days turned into weeks, and Leela's admiration for Henry grew. She saw him with the ranch hands, with the animals, and even in moments of solitude when he would stand on the porch, watching the sunset. There was a richness to his life she had never known in her struggles, yet he never flaunted it. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Henry handed her a cup of warm tea. "You've done well," he said simply. Leela's heart skipped. "Thank you for everything." He looked at her, eyes softening. "You've earned it, not just the work but the respect, and maybe a little trust too." For the first time in her life, Leela felt that maybe there was more to life than survival. Maybe there were people who saw her worth beyond her circumstances. Maybe, just maybe, her quiet diligence and honesty had led her to something extraordinary. She stayed on the ranch, her respect and gratitude for Henry deepening each day. And Henry, who had long lived alone, began to see in her a spirit that mirrored his own values: strength, perseverance, and kindness. In the quiet of the ranch, amidst the scent of hay, the lowing of cows, and the golden sunsets, Leela realized that sometimes life surprises you in ways you never imagine. A hidden millionaire, a humble life, and an unexpected connection could change everything. And in the silence of the plains, as stars began to twinkle above, Leela and Henry shared a moment of understanding. Two souls, one rich in heart, discovering that wealth wasn't measured by money, but by the lives you touch and the people you care for.